Hey everybody, it's Joey for Digital DJ Tips. Right now, just chilling in my studio and messing around with this app on my iPad called KRFT. It's an app that lets you create your own customized performance and production touchscreen surface. It does this by acting as a blank canvas that you add shapes to. And these shapes correspond to different sounds, different loops, and different controls that you can manipulate. Now, in this short talk through, we're going to do two things. First up, I'm going to show you how KRFT works, and then I'm going to give you my thoughts on this app. Let's get started. All right, so this is the starting KRFT interface. You're going to find any of the services that you've already made and saved. I've got one over here. We're not going to use that yet. Do that later. And then over here in the upper right, you can press Network, which will connect you to the KRFT online catalog of downloadable services that you can check out if you want to get started straight away. So we've got a couple over there. We're going to check that out a little bit later on. But for now, I just want to show you how easy it is to come up with your own surface using KRFT. So we're going to go back to the main screen here, and then I'm going to press the plus button here at the bottom, and that brings us to this blank canvas. This is where we're going to be adding our shapes. So I'm going to press the pen button here at the top. This takes us into edit mode. You're going to see the canvas turn into a grid, and I can press anywhere. So let's say I want to add a loop. Press that, and I'm going to add loop, and I'm going to add, I don't know, let's say drums. Right, so now we can preview what the drums sound like. Now I can record my performance by hitting record and pressing the pads if I want to. Or what I can do is I can just go to the MIDI note editor by pressing this button over here, and I can just add in the notes manually. So let's say I want to create a 4-to-the-4 beat. 1, 2, 3, 4. And let's say I want to add a snare at the 2s and the 4s. There we go. That's it. So I'm going to hit play. There you go. That's your 4-to-the-4 beat. Super easy. Now I'm going to hit the check mark over there, and now I've got that loop over here in my surface. Now let's say I want to add another loop, another piece of music. Press the grid, and I'm going to type in, let's try fill. And I'm going to add a lead. Let's have a listen to this. Nice and airy. And if you notice, whenever I press a pad over here, the notes are already set to a scale. That means it is impossible for you to play a note that is off key simply because KRFT has already constrained all the pads to be notes from within that chosen scale. And you can choose that by going to this cog icon over here and checking this out. It says D harmonic for master tuning. You can change that to anything that you want. Let's say you want a major scale, minor, harmonic. You want to go do modes like Dorian, Mixolydian, Lydian, Phrygian, and all of those others. So let's just say I want to keep it at harmonic. Let's just keep it at that. And check mark to go back. So let's edit our lead. Let's say I just want to come up with something simple here. Let's have this loop playing. Right. I'm going to edit this, and let's come up with something. Okay, let's say I want to use that as my lead sound for this. So I'm going to hit record over here. Right, that's done. I'm going to move on over to the MIDI note editor by pressing that button here at the top. And then now I can fine tune that performance because, well, it wasn't very stellar, was it? So right now, I am going to set the number of bars of the loop. That's right, I think 4 bars, that's fine. And I'm just gonna move this over here. Just make it a little bit tighter. Let's have a listen. Cool, so I've got my little loop here already. Just make this 2 bars. I'm gonna hit the check mark, and that brings us back to the surface. And now, if I want to perform with it, I can just tap on it. So this one acts as a fill, and you know it's a fill when the center part of the shape isn't shaded. That means that whenever I press on it, that's when you're going to hear the music, and when you lift your finger, you're not going to hear anything. That is in stark contrast to the loop, which plays once you tap it, and then even if you let go, it's just going to keep on playing. Yeah, so there you go. That's a really simple way to add some music using KRFT's surface. Now let's add one last shape before we move on. I'm going to hit the pen icon over here and press that. And let's say I want to add a dial. And I want dial to affect the drums. Now the dial is basically a control that you can assign to different parameters. You can change the pitch, attack, you can put effects in there, delay settings, chorus settings, even channel stuff like volume, pans, and reverbs and all that stuff. So right now I just want to set this to be a filter. And what that does is, once I exit the draw mode, when I hit this, I can use that dial as a filter, just like on a DJ mixer. Yeah, so pretty easy to come up with your own surface. Now let's try downloading a ready-made surface and see how it sounds. Okay, let's try to get this one here. So once you tap on your selection, that's going to download it to your iOS device. Right, and you can come up with something really, really complex. This is a full-on production already with controls that you can use to manipulate the sound that's going out. So I'm going to improvise right now. I'm just going to hit like a bunch of shapes here and see what happens. In this instance, this is already a full-on song, and the cool thing about this is it's got controls here on the left of the surface that kind of act as scene triggers. Basically, just by pressing it, it launches like a bunch of different clips at the same time. And you can jump to different parts of the song just by pressing it, which is kind of cool, I think. All right, so what are my thoughts on KRFT? Well, let me start off by saying that I'm a fan of customizable controls. I think having an iPad in the studio while you're producing is a big plus if you're running an app that lets you create your own custom workspace. Apps that did this before include Lemur, as well as TouchOSC, that was a few years back. And while they were really powerful, they were also pretty hard to use, especially if you don't really have the time to learn how to make the proper templates or how to make the space that you want to come up with. So unless you wanted to download stuff online, it would take some time for you to create something usable from the ground up. That is not the case with KRFT. With KRFT, it's something that is really, really easy to do. Granted, there is a bit of a learning curve, but once you've jumped that curve, it's pretty easy to come up with a work surface that you can use. Like if you want to come up with controls for volume faders, EQs, filters, that sort of stuff, and you want to control a DAW like Ableton Live, it's something that you can do pretty easily with KRFT, and it gets points for that. Now, as far as the built-in sounds go and the synth engine that is within KRFT, I'd say they're pretty decent. You can get some good sounds going, but they're nothing spectacular, nothing to write home about. In fact, you will want to import your own music loops or even record your own sounds later on, just so you can come up with more interesting productions, I would say. Having said that, there are a lot of great basic sounds in here that come stock with the app. So certainly more than enough to get you started. Now, the third thing that I like about KRFT is that it has Ableton Link built in. That means it can talk to other link-enabled apps, including Remix Vibes by Mix Vibes, as well as Cross DJ. Of course, you can use this with Ableton Live, as well as any other digital audio workstation. Now, the only thing that I didn't like so much about KRFT is the MIDI note editor. I found it pretty clunky to use, and even doing basic commands like copy-pasting notes can be a bit of a chore, can be tiresome, and as I said, it is clunky. Hopefully, that is something that the KRFT developers can address because, again, it is a fun app to use, and it's also pretty easy to come up with a good production or something that you just jam with, easy to record it. It's the editing that is not so easy and not so straightforward. So that's it for this short video on KRFT. I've got a full review over at the Digital DJ Tips website. The link is in the description box below. Hit the thumbs up icon if you like this video and hit that subscriber button if you are not a subscriber yet. My name is Joey. Thank you so much for watching. I'm gonna see you next time.